This is the Real Avid Level Right Pro Kit. It contains a number of things of getting your scope nice and level. So in the kit, we have instructions, we have this little chart here, which is what you're actually going to use to level against. A little tripod for that, we may or may not use. And then in here, we actually have all the other parts. And there's a bit to put together with this one. So this is the main part here, and we'll put that on there, and that will give us a light to look through the scope and actually project a reticle onto this card here. Now that's got a bubble level on it. Make sure that that's level. And there's two different ways to be able to mount. You've got a barrel mount, which you can then drop this in here and use this screw to tighten it up. And that will allow you to put that onto the barrel of your rifle. Or you have a Picatinny mount, and that will go onto a Picatinny rail when that might be viable. Lock that one down again, mount that piece into there. If we grab one of these, so we'll put this in here, clamp this up on the workstation. This barrel mount will have magnets there that you can adjust to be able to mount onto the barrel, but given we don't have a barrel on this particular gun, I'm going to swap it over and try out the Picatinny mount version. We've set up the chart back here. Now it does come with a little tripod, but because everything's sitting a bit higher, we've used one of our own. And we have the torch here projecting that reticle back through the scope onto the chart. Now we need to make sure that this is level, obviously that this is coming through correctly, and then we can level the reticle accordingly to do that. Now we will need to change some of the focus points on this particular scope to be able to get that nice and clear. So obviously, normally they'd be mounted onto the Picatinny mount or the barrel at the front there. So we'll just put a little bit of tension on that, and that sits on top of the scope. You can see now our reticle is coming through here, right? Our gun is level. Obviously it would have a better mount on it when it's an actual gun, but our scope is way off, and we can see that here. And so we can bring that scope back to approximate level, and we could adjust the chart as we need to. Now the chart is not sitting level, so let's fix that up. That's why it's very important to have a bubble level on there. Get that one to where it needs to be, and you can see that we can then adjust that scope so that reticle is exactly level, like that. Then we would leave that on as we do that up to make sure it's maintaining where it's meant to be sitting. This light also will allow you to adjust the focal point by sliding back and forth and make sure you get a crisp image down the other end. One of the reasons that this is a really good way of doing it is because while you might be able to get your scope level, and often we've done that where we put the bubble level on there, which is good enough for in-store, but we'd always suggest to people to level it in the real world, is because the reticle inside the scope may not actually be level to the turret. And so being able to actually level out the reticle is more important than necessarily having level turret. Now there is actually a kit available that includes this setup, as well as the smart torque wrench from Real Avid, and also the bore solder, which is this one here, which will go onto the front of the barrel, and you can use that at the range, perhaps if you don't have the setup that you can do with this. There is a kit that has all of that in it as well. But for us in the store, this is a really good option for us to be able to mount that scope up and make sure it is level. The kit comes with a torch, it's rechargeable as well, and you've got your Picatinny mount that we've just used there, as well as your barrel mount, and your chart here as well with a smaller tripod, although if you're set up like we are, you may need that higher, or you could mount that onto the wall. Lots of options to use there. That is a look at the Real Avid Level Right Pro, a really good option to make sure your scope is level.